so badly.
Oh, I want it so badly.
Let's do it. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Greg McManus for being a jerk. He's a mean old man. See, the thing is, people don't understand. I guess their Twitter feeds are public, and he said all of his podcasts are boring. And I said, thanks. I hope Greg understands our sense of humor by now. I assume
I
he
think
does.
he does.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw me. I went after him, and that's
I saw you invited everyone except him.
Yeah, everyone's
Please
invited.
join us.
Exactly.
Everyone except Greg. Whatever, Greg. Go be a Nebraska fan. You're there anyway.
Exactly. You're halfway there, jerk. I think he really, 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 really hates Nebraska a lot.
That's why I think it'd be a good bit.
It's a great bit.
Welcome to a truncated Boiled Sports Handsome Hour. We're going to cram an hour of handsomeness into maybe a half hour.
We're going to
be hard to do. We're going to try to. We're going to cram it in. It's
really
going to be
shove it in there.
It's going to be tight and delicious.
It's not even nighttime. We're not even drinking bourbons.
No,
I know. I don't usually have coffee during the Handsome Hour, but I am.
Coffee.
What
am I doing?
This is Jay. We've got Daylight. This is like, we got Boiler Down, we got Anish. And what this reminds me of is one of the few times I ever went to Breakfast Club at Harry's, and I came out at like 11 a.m. and the sun was shining, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? And the sun shines in through the windows. That's something you don't realize when you go to bars at night and then you go to them during the day. Whew.
That
it's like
glass,
God
glass
shining
is
a flashlight
and
on
translucent alike. I'm right in there. It hurts.
No, they were glass. I mean, they're always just dark.
Exactly. Didn't even know it worked.
Not usually looking at the windows. Anyway, it's the Handsome Hour. It is, I don't know what week it is. I don't know. I don't care. This is doesn't matter anymore. Purdue is, what is Purdue's even record? 2-3? Man, I've clearly started to tune it out. But I will say, someone was listening when I think I publicly said, or maybe I said to you guys, the game I want more than any is coming up Saturday. So maybe someone was listening and they said, okay, you don't get any more then. You just get that one. Which honestly would feed my soul for a while, I will say.
You would be much happier with a win over Scotty Frost than you would over IU.
Scott Frost deserves to take it on the chin, but also because they're good. They're legitimately good, and none of us, I think, have an issue with that. You know what? If they want to suck for 20 or 30 years at a time and be good for a season or two, that's fine with me. That's fine.
I take that deal.
Yeah, and it's really hard, as you put on Twitter. I mean, it's hard with, it's always bad when you tear something in your penis.
Yeah, it's tough to have a damaged penis.
It's too bad for them.
I'm
seriously,
completely away from that. Yeah, it is. I like the guy, and I want to be clear about this. If Purdue happens to get Michael Penix's cousin or brother, I will make fun of that name as well. I am. This is not limited to just IU, and that name is so simple.
Oh, it's perfect for our idiocy. Is really what it's perfect for.
No, I feel bad for the kid. I mean, that's the thing. It's lousy, and I said that on the feed. I really feel bad for him, legit, and I feel bad for IU fans. Again, I know it's very odd for us to be touchy feely with IU, but that sucks, man. They're playing really well, and I did a little statistical dive into his performance this year, and he's actually having an off year comparatively, but he's throwing for a ton of yards because they're passing so much, and Freifogel and Watt Fillier are both having big game after big game. I mean, that's the thing. They have weapons. So
that's it for the IU Handsome Hour.
That's it. Enough.
Thanks for joining us. We'll just quietly switch our allegiance and just not pretend completely like it's normal.
Oh yeah, 9 Indiana.
Just the rest of the season be like, what are you talking? Like a Carbonaro effect thing where you're like, I don't know what
you're saying.
Purdue.
I
What
don't
are
know
you
what the
talking
last
about?
14 years mean.
Always been, yeah, huge IU fans. What?
Check out AJ's. They got 20 beers on tap, and when you are in West Lafayette, you know where to go for Boiled Sport's favorite burger. That's AJ's. EatAJ's.com.
So
Well, it's a beautiful day here in Indiana, 22
that.
degrees.
I see the sun shining in your window, though.
Yep.
That's nice.
Yep, it's brisk though. It feels cold, and that tells me that Saturday's game versus Nebraska will be in cold weather.
Not a problem.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I don't think the cold is the problem, right? Is it going to rain or snow?
It's
Precipitation.
as of right now, I don't think so. Right? Have you guys checked?
I know, but it's the precipitation. I think
Yes.
that's where
Yes.
the Achilles heel comes in.
It's a huge problem. It's a massive problem and it's real. But here's this year though. The good news is they haven't needed that to suck. So
I was going to say, is it a bigger problem than calling quarterback draws when you have Bell and Moore on the field? I don't know. Who's to say? Whomst is to say?
It's been a tough to swallow season. But I got an email yesterday from a good pal of mine. He said, have you noticed how many close games there have been during Brom's tenure? There's generally 5 to 7 a
Have
season.
we noticed? No,
5
we
to
don't watch.
7
This is
a
like a mom
season.
text, right?
Yeah.
This is like another mom text.
But honestly, so the things I remember when how my brain works, I don't remember a whole bunch, but I do remember those bad losses, right? I remember losing to Rutgers twice. I remember losing to Eastern Michigan. Those games really stick out in my mind, right? The one in Nevada, right? So those bad games, if you get rid of those, by the way, all those games are within a touchdown. All those lousy losses are within a touchdown. If you get rid of that loss, right, the program looks better. The bowls are better. All this stuff feels better.
See, okay, can we address this head on right now?
Sure,
Can we
let's do it.
address the idiocy that is happening? Is Tiller's first year. I think when some people
that is not the case for me.
Exactly. There are two classes of people that kind of like come up when they bring up people like Akers. It's that one of them is like either you remember it or you lived through it and you just forgot it. The other is if I am just looking through, if I'm a Purdue fan that has been a fan for the last 10 years or so, and you're just looking on the Wikipedia and you're just looking at the wins and losses. Like I think a lot of people who are bringing up Akers' names are the people that just look at the record. And I
think you're absolutely right.
That's why the Minnesota game bugs me much, is because eventually the pass interference memory will fade and it will it's just a loss.
But Akers' record is still far worse. Akers' best season was Brom's worst season thus far.
Right.
4-8. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it. The Michael Jordan gift. Stop it.
I was a young lad when Akers. I think I was in 6th grade. I think that's right. That was 1986 when Akers became coach.
I thought it was 88, but whatever. It's around
Okay.
there. Yeah,
I
it's like
think
87 to 90 or something.
And the reason I think
yeah.
it's 86 is because Jim Everett's 85 team was supposed to be really good and was ranked in the preseason and didn't make a bowl, and that was it for Burtonette.
Mhm.
And so I think if I'm remembering everything lines up, were Everett and Woodson together their senior year? I think they were, and they won the bucket, but the team had a losing record. So that next year, 86, Akers came in, a lot of hoopla, a lot of people were excited. UT coach,
Yeah.
a great former coach. Clearly his best days were behind him, but he came in and he didn't come in like Mac Brown at UNC. He came in really bad in every way. I called Fred Akers' radio show like second game of the season when I was in when I was like
Not much has
grade.
changed.
My dad's like, yeah, you should call him. I said, okay. So there's this horrible,
Fred.
voice,
As opposed to your dulcet, velvety voice
yeah, it
now.
was
right?
beautiful. The
It
beautiful.
hadn't developed yet.
Hey, it's recognizable. That's what we know.
I can tell you, I sound especially horrible to me on those little mini Twitter vignettes I've been doing just to get stuff
But your
done.
phone is capturing it. It's
Oh,
not.
so
It's not the
horrible.
same as one of these fancy
It's
microphones.
literally like I am talking.
No, it's not bad. I love it when we meet people at tailgates and they're like, "I know you. You're the guy. I know your voice."
Voice.
Yeah. Anyway, go on. So you called Akers.
So I
don't wanna
called
discuss
Akers and said I was excited and that I hope they do really well. And I think I asked who would be starting at quarterback.
He
I
said,
think
"I haven't met the
that's-
team yet."
That Stan Fox, maybe? Okay, so anyway, so the whole point, I remember this era pretty well, okay? This is much better than Akers, okay?
And even the Hope ones,
There are
the
expectations.
They got
This-
hammered by really good teams. They got
the
hammered.
similarities begin and end at the record.
Yeah.
And what did we talk about all through through the end of the Hope years and all throughout the Hazel years? It is about the foundation, it's about the machinery, it's about everything. Danny Hope was building a paper tiger. He inherited not kind of a declining, infrastructure from both Purdue Athletics and from Joe Tiller. As much as we love him, one of the two most successful coaches in Purdue football history, and but in the end he didn't leave his hand-picked successor with much, and all Hope was doing was not even treading water. He wasn't even like building any it wasn't program building, it was tightrope walking.
Right.
Where if you're up there and you're successfully doing it, it's real exciting. A couple of the Ohio State wins, but if you lose balance,
real exciting.
Yeah.
if you lose balance for just 1 second, there's no net to catch you.
And it
the
gets real scary real quick. Like you're down by 21 points in the first quarter sometimes in that
And
type.
the problem is when you fall and you
It hurts.
It hurts. And the thing is, like Purdue Athletics then thought all they had to do was write the check. So they brought in Daryl Hazel for a big check, and they said, "Oh, we're going to build all of these beautiful facilities." Wrote the big check, but the problem is that a foundation takes time to build, and the problem is during the Hazel era, while some of the facilities and all this were being upgraded, nothing on the field was, right? And so it's like, why are we even comparing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? These are a few losses. And they're bad, and you can be angry about them. And I'll finish with this. We were pissed off on Saturday, but it's like you can't. You do not fall into the pit of comparing this to the depths of Purdue football, where literally, that 8-year period was the lowest that Purdue football has ever been.
Yeah. There's a chart that my son found for me. He sent it to me showing the depths, how really historically bad it was during the Hazel era. But the big thing that I think is probably, if I could sum up some of the idiocy that we've been hearing the last few days, is that people's expectations were raised. They thought that because Jeff Brom was, that's a good thing. I think Brom would want the fan base to believe
there are expectations now. That's the only thing. But go on.
Yeah, but so with that high salary, I think people expect a modicum of success.
If you're looking for a gift for somebody who is really hard to buy for, check out gridironmetalworks.com. Get a Purdue grate or get one with one of the military branches on there from your friends and family, or even another school. They have some other licenses. You know, there's only one school that matters to us, though, here. GridironMetalworks.com, our pals, Purdue people.
Unbelievable amount of people who are in other people's pockets. I mean, like the amount of, well, we pay Jeff Brom this much.
This is a good point. Hold on before you get into this too much.
We?
I want everyone to listen. If you have this in the background, come and put your hands on your fists and tune in to Anish, because this is a good point. Go ahead.
You know what? If you donate less than $3 million to the Purdue Athletic Department, you do not pay Jeff Brom's salary. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
if you happen to be a lawyer, who
if you are
$50 check.
You know, we're not going to be specific at people who
may or may
not be out there.
Somebody came at. So I hate the word embarrassed when we talk about football performance or basketball performance. I hate the word embarrass. Okay, the reason I hate the word embarrassed is you look at the definition. It talks about being ashamed and self-conscious when you go out and you talk about that entity. Jay, in your Purdue sweatshirt right now, my Purdue T-shirt. Anish has a Boiled Sports gear on, probably a Purdue shirt underneath. I have not had one part of me that is ashamed or embarrassed about being a Purdue fan this year or really ever under Jeff Brom. These guys have never done anything that makes me feel personally embarrassed by them.
There are, and I would like to add to that, there are embarrassing things in college football all the time. There are embarrassing programs, embarrassing coaches that are truly deserve that moniker. ADs, departments, cover-ups, fans. There are embarrassing examples that you can use that for. And you're right. Purdue is rarely even gone up near that line. But a bad performance, it's disappointing. It's upsetting. You can say those things, but you're right. You can't. They're not cheating. They're not covering up child rape, just for example.
Right? Jay, you would call yourself a wordsmith, right? Words matter. Sure. Saying the word embarrassed gets my attention. And it got my attention on Saturday night. And I said, I disagree with the idea that you think that you are embarrassed by what's happening right now. And then I said, I am not embarrassed by what's happening now. We have been through eras of Purdue football. Like, for instance, when your starting quarterback gets caught plagiarizing a paper or cheating, that's embarrassing to me. Okay, maybe I'm out of line here, but that's embarrassing. When your ex-starting quarterback goes to jail because he pushed his girlfriend down the stairs or whatever. I mean, I can't remember the exact example, or sexual harassment or sexual assault. Those things are embarrassing. When you have a coach that tells a witness to a sexual assault to not go to the police, that's embarrassing. That's shameful.
So you're telling me that running on, quarterback sneak on 3rd and 3 doesn't qualify? It's not.
It pisses me off, and it does not embarrass me.
But so now. Let's scale everything, because the point here is that words matter, and all of these kind of things. Do not get hyperbolic with all of this. Do not call for his head, because such idiocy, it needs to be bounded. Now, let's be angry about the actual football. That's it. You can be mad at the football that is being played, at the game plans that are being called, and all of this. It has been.
It's okay, absolutely. Like,
it's been
I don't
perplexing.
Want to feel encouraged, but be mad. That's okay. No one's telling you not to be mad at that.
Jay Money, the call should be just like with Painter. What you said was the call should not be fire Jeff Brom. The call should be Brom, do better.
Yeah. If you're not happy with something or someone you care about, if it was a employee that you cared about, if it's a family member that you cared about, if does something that someone you care about in some way, professional or personal, and they don't do a good job, is the idea that just cut them loose? Or do you say, I expect more from you because you're capable of more? And maybe that's a silly comparison, but I don't think it is. I think if it's something you care about, and you think they're the right person, the two things can be true. You can be disappointed in something and also supportive.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I seem to, Jay, I think you're trying to be logical here and comparing real life and things that people can relate with to football and coaching athletic decisions. Now, Jay, you're in management right now, correct?
I'm part of the establishment.
Okay.
That's correct.
And I'm doing this to make a point. Anish, do you manage any people? I really don't know the answer to that. Okay, so you have 3 or 4 people under you, Anish?
Yes.
Jay, you have 5 to 10 people underneath you, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So the question is, do you only hold that dark cloud of firing to motivate? Is that the only thing you do?
Right. No.
Right?
Never. Last resort. Absolute last resort.
But
Almost
people
never.
seem to think that the only way we can hold Jeff Brom and this staff accountable is firing Jeff Brom. I do
Because
not understand that.
That's a sports thing. The same as knowing what every athlete and coach makes. Like, think about it. You don't know what everybody in your professional career makes. You don't know everybody's salary publicly, but we do when it comes to sports. And so then we do this
I only
leap
know
where we're
yours.
like,
It's very, very big.
but you don't know how much. You don't know how big. And like so it's become this. I don't know if binary is the right word to use there, but it's become this like either he's amazing or we should fire him. And there's no in between.
And
It's
so,
ridiculous.
What the salary and the facilities and all this represents are these raised expectations, and I think that is okay to talk about. The reason that we have the expectations is because Brom proved that he is able to be held to those high expectations. He is an in-demand coach. He is a very brilliant coach, and look at every metric possible. He revived Purdue football from day one, literally from game one.
I don't know if you can hear the circular saw in the background. This is something we add to. No,
Yeah, it's just ambiance.
Very, very
It's
gritty,
just
very
ambiance.
raw. I like it.
But but from day one. Now, let's get to the game, because it is able. We are able to then shift and say those raised expectations have not been met whatsoever this year. I mean, in the first half, Purdue, I think, went something like 4 for 7 in scoring when they got into the red zone. We talked about that again.
Still not great.
But it, you know what? I'll live with it.
Especially
against
that's an
Rutgers.
improvement.
They're up 23-13.
They were up 23-13 in the second half. Here were the red zone. Here were the red zone stats: red zone touchdown, a midfield interception. So these are all of the possessions. These aren't even. There were 4 of them.
There weren't many.
So it's very easy to count. Red zone touchdown,
That's
a midfield
astonishing.
interception, a backfield punt, and a backfield punt. Meanwhile, was allowed a 10-minute drive. A 10-minute drive. Now, we can be upset at the offensive play calling. We can be upset at, things like running on, quarterback sneak. Was it third or fourth down, whatever. But in the end, it's the offense, while not meeting our standards for a Jeff Brom offense, has actually been in the top third of the country. It's somewhere like in around the 30th ranked in terms of the advanced stats. The defense has entirely let the team down, and the offense has a much higher ceiling than what they are performing, but all there needs to be is some kind of floor on the defense.
Well, so here, let me just counterpunch for 1 second, and that is that the defense, while deplorable in the first 2 drives, if I remember correctly, just awful, just like they were the previous game. They didn't even stop for the first 2 drives. Didn't even slow them down the first 2 drives. Then they had 4 straight stops. The defense did
in the first half, sure.
In the first half, and the offense did nothing with those 4 straight stops, if I remember correctly. Right after that, in the second half, the defense got back to its old ways at the beginning of the first half and started just, Rutgers was doing whatever they wanted against
them. But the offense converted on that safety. You know what I mean? So, the defense got, first of all, this is why you go for it in the red zone on fourth down at all times when you're Jeff Brom, because you set up a defense to, for opportunistic play like that. So they got the safety on the next possession. Purdue scored a touchdown. So there's a 9-point swing right there.
Right.
Again, the offense has not been great this year. The offense has not been a Jeff Brom offense this year. It's been frustrating. It has felt like the restrictor plates are on. It's not ideal. That being said, it's still putting up numbers, and it's still passable enough for and again, I know we can nitpick on this, but the point is that there is a side of there are actually 2, the defense and the special teams are the sides of the ball that are not, at least being average. That's my point. And we have the personnel on defense. Special teams has been some kind of Achilles heel for the last 4 years that I don't quite understand. The offense has not been
Really
spectacular,
though, the
but it's
special
not
teams though
been.
was it first? My memory is failing me, but the original special coach at least had an identity and they had a vision of the way things were going. They got better. I think he was there 2 seasons, correct?
Mm.
Right? They got better the second year than they did their first. They didn't start from a great place. Um, but this year, what we've seen this year has been horrible. What we saw last year was horrible. And Brom looks visibly angry he talks also visibly angry about the defensive scheme and the special teams play because that single play was so important, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Allowing a team to run back a touchdown on a kickoff is a huge deal. It was a huge momentum shift. And obviously after that, I mean, school was out.
So they the offense followed that up with a really bad pick. I mean, like, Plummer threw that, just an absolute dud of a turnover. And then we had the Barnes ejection, which is what it is, but those were, from there, it didn't seem like, I don't know about you guys, but we've seen enough of these Purdue games where like there's no feeling of like after the Barnes ejection, like it could have been one touchdown, within one touchdown, it could have been within three. We weren't, like I knew that we weren't gonna, come back and do this. And so but my point is that, I don't know. To me, the defense has been so spectacularly disappointing that there have been glimmers, not for whole games at a time of the offense being great and putting up numbers, but at least it's been there. The defense is just, unbelievably frustrating. And this is also why it's hiring. I'm sure that Jeff Brum is mad, at the scheme, but he hired a 3-4 coach at Purdue. Like that's another huge frustration. It's the same Daryl. It's the same Daryl Hazel play. Yeah. I think Daryl Hazel could have been a decent coach at a place like Iowa.
This idea of Hazel's philosophy being his downfall.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I look at it, the more I believe that is not the case. Hazel's downfall was not his offensive philosophy. Hazel's downfall was the fact that he was a lazy recruiter. He burnt bridges with high school football coaches, and he couldn't backfill needs. He really didn't even know how to do it. The guys that played for Hazel, they take offense when anybody says the Hazel teams were whatever. Well, here's the problem. There were individuals on the Hazel teams, we've talked about it, who were very, very good players, very good athletes, went on to play in the NFL. Clearly, he had arm talent coming through there. He had quarterbacks coming through there. He had a couple other positions that were serviceable, but his recruiting was horrible. And that goes back to the program building idea. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have mattered if Daryl Hazel would have gone to Iowa or Wisconsin, right? Or Michigan State, where they kind of hang their hat.
Sure.
Right? It wouldn't have mattered because he could not build a program because he had no idea how to recruit.
But back to you need to scheme like you are at Purdue. That, I guess, this is my.
He was a horrible evaluator of talent. He put people in the wrong position all the time.
But with this defense, you need to scheme like you are at this school, where it's going to be, where the ideal version of this is that the offenses are not, are going to be lightning quick. They're going to take a lot of chances, and the defense needs to be on the field a lot. They need to plan on being on the field a lot because this Purdue team is going to score in the 30s. And ideally, it's going to be something like the first half where there are a lot of possessions. And so, to me, a 3-4 makes no sense. This is why I was a little bit Diaco's kind of a lunatic, or why I wasn't terribly.
But sometimes DCs being lunatics, sometimes that's okay. I mean,
but it's the scheme. When the scheme doesn't back, it all follows the philosophy, right?
The crazy
schematic philosophy, as you can, it all flows from there. So to me, I don't know. Like I don't see much hope. And so I don't know what to do from here about this defense. Do you see it getting better in the next 2 games?
Well, there's been glimmers.
No, I don't. Do you, Jay?
Well, no, but as you pointed out, there were some glimmers where they got a few stops that were necessary and it got the team a lead. I don't know. As a coach, we talk about this all the time. We're not coaches. You coach up what worked, and you say, this is what we need more of. This thing you did for 10 minutes, we need that for 30 or more. And the other thing I would interject here on the whole, the offense has been good enough in a sense, but we know they could do more.
Yeah.
This is another game where Purdue gets a lead, and the second half is is there background noise?
It's the background. Yeah. So now
keep going.
But it's emphasis. It's the anger. Is that coming?
Yeah, the suck.
No, but it's another game where Purdue gets a lead, and then the play calling gets. Now, agree, they only had. It's really hard to criticize it because the defense couldn't get off the field. But it's another game where Purdue has a lead, and then Jeff Brown gets a little conservative with the calling. And I would argue, not only do we have a lot of evidence that that's not how he should call games, but now you've got a defense that you can't really rely on. So you're going to need to score and be aggressive and go for it on fourth and short, right? You're going to need to do those things. And I can't stand the shit when people say on like Twitter or on broadcast, that shows no faith in your defense. Yeah, that's fine. They're giving up 35 points a game to Rutgers. Who gives a shit? Let them prove that you should trust them. And those comments, somebody was saying that when they went for it on it was like 4th and 2 inside the 15 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It was early. And I was like, but that's how you should play. The odds of converting it are pretty good. And settling for field goals when you know you're going to need to score 30 is just not the way to play. What is the harm at this point? They're 2-3. What is the harm for going for the jugular? Where are the trick plays? Where's the 50 trick plays a year we heard about?
So the one problem, the other frustration that's very valid here, 5 targets for David Bell last game. Unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
Just keep throwing it to him. He's going to get the ball, especially if you're Jack Plummer.
Brom talked about that specifically in the 2 press conferences since the game. He talked about one post-game, one in his normal Monday or Tuesday, whatever it is. And he said, the problem we have is we only have 1 ball. And I would go a step further. The other problem is the defense was on the field all the time. The offense was only on the field for 3 plays, I think, in the 4th quarter. This offense is predicated on lots of reps, getting the ball down the field, right? Spreading the ball around. They didn't get many opportunities in the second half at all to do that. But I would argue that what you want to do with this defense, it seems to me, is you want to get into an arms race with teams. We're going to sling it around. If we feel like it's going to be a close game, we want it to be one where it's up in the 30s or 40s. We'll do better there than when a team grinds us down and, beats us up. But
and so back to the schematic thing, like they, on defense, Rutgers in the 4th quarter, I think, converted 4 out of 7 third downs. I mean, and I think they converted a couple of fourths on that, on that long drive. Meanwhile, like you said, Dowd, Purdue, 1 drive, 3 plays, and a punt. I think Purdue blitzed something like 8 times all game, and that resulted in 7 Rutgers completions by the backup or third string quarterback.
And I don't know if this is kept your track of any. How many times do they have 3 down linemen? And we have talked about this over and over. It does not work with this personnel. It doesn't work. You have to have absolute mothers up front, right?
Yeah.
There's no other way around.
Not just one. You got all 3, and you have to have depth behind them too, because the whole point of a 3-4 is to fill it. Is to prevent the, defend the space, defend the gap underneath the safeties, basically, because you're loading up there rather than on the line. So you have to have, basically 2 deep, 6 guys that can just come in and single-handedly change things. At LSU, you can do that. At Ohio State, you can do that. Heck, at Wisconsin, you might be able to do that.
It's funny you bring up LSU. I recall giving you a prediction on Ed's season.
This year. Yeah, this year.
No.
Yeah, this year I agree.
You're going deeper, though.
Oh,
You're ready. Are you ready to go deeper on that?
What?
On that prediction about LSU, Jay?
Yeah.
No, they're not going to do that again. They're not going to come close to that again.
Well, no college team has ever done that.
I just said not going to come close. Everyone acted like Edo is, he's got it figured out. No, he had Joe Burrow, and he had a good window there against Alabama, and that
it's just, I don't know.
I like Ed. I think he should be a permanent temporary
everybody's
coach. He's the best guy to get your guys risen from the ashes. He's terrific, but that routine is only going to work for so long. Anyway,
it's the limitations of a motivator, and in the
Right.
end, maybe that's all Diaco is, and I don't even know if he motivates that well. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
But
know.
did
I
you
do know
start
that
firing
something's
guys
not
after?
right, and so my sound off here, Boilermakers. This is something I've been talking about a lot in behind closed doors to different people, to you guys, BS team, to friends on other threads. Right now, Brock Speck makes 360,000. Right now, Bob Diaco makes 625,000.
Yeah,
That's all
but
I'm gonna say.
yeah,
That's all
but
I'm gonna say.
300 as the 400 at the top chair. That top chair is real nice, and job security real nice.
Oh, his job security is really nice, but he's also an older guy. He's probably made enough money where he's pretty good shape. Good defeat.
Does he have eligibility to play? Can we get Brooks back on the field? I don't know. I don't know what you do after the year. I'm generally not a fan of quick firings and quick triggers and
That's
quick
what I was going to
changes.
say. You
No,
start
I don't.
firing coordinators after a year. It doesn't show good stability with a program. I know sometimes it's necessary, but man,
No,
that's
I'm
a
not a
bad look.
fan. I'm generally not a fan of it, which is why I don't really know what to. Philosophically, I'm not huge on this constant turnover, particularly with a position as important as defensive coordinator. But it is what it is. I don't know. Decisions up to Jeff Brom. That's why he makes the big
All
bucks.
All right, so let's we're coming up on time here. Let's turn our attention to, for all this talk and all this hand wringing, if Purdue were to win the next two games, which is it's not crazy talk, they're suddenly 4-3 going into that Champions Week, and all of a sudden the season looks a lot better. What do you anticipate? A little preview of, or maybe this is the predicto, given our schedules. What do we see? What do we see against Nebraska? Do you have confidence, or did the Rutgers game shake your belief that they can still slap around Nebraska?
Nebraska and Purdue, at least just kind of top line. They do it in very different ways, but their defenses are both mediocre to bad. Their special teams are both abysmal, and their offenses are both passable. Now, the way that they do it is very different, but I wouldn't expect a low scoring under. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
They're not stellar defenses, so
I Purdue's offense more than what they've been. Their offense, I was saying it last week, and you watch them, it's so unimaginative at Nebraska. And I don't know what that is. You've got some talent there. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So
but
to me, that a 500 record at the end of the what's it called? Championship weekend?
Week. Yeah.
Champions Week, whatever it's called.
Champions. Legends and Leaders Weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Legends Weekend and the Leaders Weekend. I saw a map. I saw a map again of geographically how they drew the lines of legends and leaders, and it was hilarious. But anyway, like I think we were the leaders, by the way. But anyway,
I still don't remember.
I just don't know. I don't
right.
remember. I think getting to 500 after that weekend is possible, probable. I think that's what ends up happening. Basically, that means Purdue goes 2-1. I don't think we beat IU. So there's your spoiler.
Without Penix, man, I don't know. That'll be.
Their defense is really good. Their defense is really, really, really good.
Allen's a great coach.
Yeah, but last year they were pretty good, and Purdue was decimated, and it was 47-41 or whatever the hell that 47-44. Like that game is. We can joke. The teams have been good at the same time, but that game, that's the different game, man. It matters in a different way. So I would hope that Brom would coach it as such. By the way, just quick aside, I was able to look it up. Right now, the over-under at Purdue, Nebraska is 61.5, which is in college, but that's still pretty high. Like 61.
Yeah, I'd still go both teams in the 30s.
38-31 sounds very, very possible. That kind of a game, yeah.
And I think they've been up in the 40s twice in the last 3 years, haven't they? Both teams, am I remembering correctly?
Against each other, sure.
Yeah, but one of them I think was that overtime or double overtime game, right? So, but
one I was refreshing myself on was the Hazel era when they won 55-45. Remember that weird ass game when they were so bad and they got up like I looked at it, it was like 41-16, and we were all like, woo! And then all of a sudden it was like. Nebraska touchdown. Nebraska touchdown. Yeah. Oh my God, they're going to lose this game in the fourth quarter, and they almost did. I don't care. I really want it to be a pummeling, but at this point, I'll take any kind of. There's actually some more fun in beating them by like a fluky score at the end, because then Frost has to somehow
It's
sound.
chaos. Hey, it's chaos season, man. Either chaos season, you take advantage of chaos season, or chaos season takes advantage of you. That's what it is.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so
I don't have confidence, just for the record. On
Barnes
Saturday.
being out,
You're not feeling good?
Barnes being out for the first half isn't
That's
great.
such a bullshit call, man. That is so terrible.
I don't think that one's bullshit. And I'm really quick to say refs are bullshit. I think the rule's dumb, but I think that is correct because whenever you put your eyes down on the ground, lead with the crown of your helmet, hit the player first with the helmet. I think it's actually a very easy call to make.
It's almost like they should be
launching too. So
yeah, it's almost like they should be making those calls with intent in mind. The letter, because intent. I didn't think the intent was there on Barnes.
I've hated it from the beginning because while I, of course,
the nuance call though, right? Because we've had remember the old face mask call where there's a 5 and a 15 that doesn't work.
Right.
So I think the call
talk
was legit. I think it's a stupid rule because I think football is a brutal game. That's a different discussion, right?
It's also hard to tackle without leading with your head. It's not physically, anatomically really possible. You don't tackle with your feet.
There's a whole, and I don't think you guys have coached football. There's a whole movement of
I get it. Heads up tackle.
And they have classes.
I get it, man. But your body, when you tackle, is going from the top towards the person.
Tough.
It's
very
a tough difficult.
Call. Barnes being out is the only thing, honestly. I don't know. I don't know. But
all depends. Is George coming back? I don't know. He's got to be out 21 days. No. 21 days.
I don't think he's there yet.
I actually think that I don't think he's there for IU. I actually think that he's out.
No, but I think I just corrected myself. I think isn't it 21 days after the COVID?
Yes, it's 21 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a week ago. So he's gone. He's gone.
Right.
He's done for the. I think he's done until maybe whatever that championship weekend is.
I think he is.
But
I think he's in for IU. I think it times out like he would get.
Does it?
It might. But
that's another week and a half.
Neither team is very strong. Both teams, bad defenses. We'll see. Bet the over. That's my predicto right now.
Our friends at Martin Vintage are a family-owned Purdue business, and if you're looking for Purdue gear, go to martinvintage.com right now. They've got a brand new sweatshirt that's got the old Block P on the sleeve and the old Pete swinging a hammer on the front. I love the retro stuff. There's a hoodie or there's a crew neck. Check them out, martinvintage.com.
We can get together and talk about basketball in the near future, and we should, I think.
I agree, and I just saw your tweet, by the way. If Zach Edey's not going to miss any shots all year, I think that is a good strategy. Just
Purdue finally
make all your baskets.
So I was wrong, of course, because it's math. It was actually he's missed 4. He missed 1, and then 2, and then 1. Incredible though, still. That's an incredible stat in itself. Missing 4 shots.
Purdue finally, we'll do a full separate one on basketball, but Purdue finally has a 7-footer that tries to dunk everything.
Every time he turns around, this is my favorite thing. I said this when I was watching him yesterday afternoon. He gets the ball, he turns to find the rim, and just tries to attack it.
It's incredible.
I love it.
It's incredible. And he's only played basketball for 2 years.
He's going to be awesome.
How dumb is that?
He's going to be
And he's
great.
probably still growing. He's like
he's grown at Purdue, according to the
what's he going to be, 7'6"? This is insane.
Yao Ming, baby. We got Yao Ming. 2.0.
Well, I think it was in our group chat. Yours, it just keeps resonating in my head. He's impossibly huge. He's so impossibly gigantic.
And we thought Haas was, to be fair.
Haas
was just a truck.
But the funny thing is, they went to timeout yesterday, and they showed the huddle. I don't know if you guys saw this, and Edey was behind the huddle, just looking into it, no big deal.
Crazy, Brandon Newman is kind of on the smaller side on this roster because I think Ethan Morton is taller than him. Yeah, no, Brandon Newman's taller than I am. Brandon Newman is 6'5".
And Sasha's pretty tall, right?
Sasha's 6'5" too. Yep. So it's like that's the those are the smallest guys on the court. So I don't know. And then Zach Edey is still unbelievably huge. So yes, we will gush about Zach Edey later.
And I want everyone out there to understand that I think the three of us are in unison in this idea that we don't think the season's over. Right? Fair statement.
Season?
Yes.
No, not at all.
Not at-
That's
not at
why I think the takeaway is calm down, people. Like, be mad, but like, just really, like, it's
To
fine.
write it off because let me just sum that up. The thing I've asked a few of those people who are very on the well, it's over. Is what do you do next then? What is your solution if not to support this approach for at least a little longer? What is your solution? Get rid of him and get whom? Hill spinning at the end, right? Like I don't. Next year is hopefully an 11, 12 game season.
First,
So that's
first round pick mock drafts Rondale Moore. By the way, we'll see.
Oh, he's man.
There's one of my
again.
Christmas wishes. If anybody wants to get me anything, is I'd like to have at least one more special Rondale Moore game.
Oh yeah, that'd
Right,
be nice.
we've got best
For
case
the
scenario,
bucket?
3
For the
shots at it.
For the bucket would
great.
be nice.
Be a fun one.
Rubbing in Scott Frost is like a 200-yard game against Scott Frost.
I think
can
there's
say?
your best odds, right? Because right now you've got Michigan or Maryland in the +1 game.
Which is boring as hell. Who cares? Who cares about either one of those? I mean, they want to win it, but I mean, that's not interesting. These next two are fun.
It's not Nebraska or IU. Exactly. I mean, like, those are the teams we've wanted. Those are the ones, and I mean Minnesota,
Well, they did win that game.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually,
Anyway,
Tough to swallow.
it's been a pleasure. Well, not really. That's a little strong. Thanks for joining us on the Bold Sports Handsome Hour Daytime Edition. BS up all day.
Love you guys. Good afternoon.